Hi everybody, I'm Byron. Today I'm talking about Family Ties, No Nukes is Good Nukes. It's the Thanksgiving episode. Yay! Uh, and they bring up, of course, how we stole the land from the Indians. That was, of course, brought up. And Alex didn't care for that. He didn't really so much disagree, but he just said it's not relevant to discussing Thanksgiving. And so they're having Thanksgiving. Elise's parents come over, not Steve's parents, because they already said they're never going to see Steve's dad again. I don't know what the deal with his mom is. I can't remember. But his mom did not come over. Steve, I think Steve has a brother. Yeah, Steve has a brother, so maybe the dad spent Thanksgiving with the brother. Maybe that's. I mean, no, he didn't, because it's not real. But it was just Elise's parents that came over. Okay, so the main plot of the episode is that there's a anti-nuclear arms demonstration, and Steve and Elise go on Thanksgiving, and of course Alex is against nuclear deproliferation. That's it, proliferation. And the parents are for it, and nobody really seems to agree with Alex. Mallory kind of doesn't care. Although the grandparents, of course, the grandfather agrees with Alex. And I have to say, in this instance, I agree with Alex. I think, so a lot of people sort of point to the absurdity of nuclear weapons. The entire point of them is just to prevent other people from using nuclear weapons on you. I don't agree with that. I think it also prevents large-scale conventional wars. So that's a good thing. For a while there, it looked like they were preventing all wars, but they obviously did not. In fact, I was thinking of the Eisenhower administration, but Korea happened before the Eisenhower administration. So I don't know. Okay. Okay, so, and there's reference to college football on Thanksgiving, which I'm not really aware of. Maybe they still do it, but I don't think so. I think it's just pro football Thanksgiving. I think it used to be just Dallas and Detroit that would play on Thanksgiving, and now they've added another game. I think that's just sort of randomish, and it's a primetime game. Anyway, okay, so at the at the protest, they get arrested and they have to go to jail. And in jail, there's an actual. So in jail, one of the funny things about them being in jail is that there's a bunch of protesters, almost all the protesters, but there's also an actual criminal who, and that's a source of humor. I don't really remember much of the jokes with him, but he's pretty funny. He is able to make a lot of jokes at their expense. And they all go to jail. They come in, they try to bail him out, and in order to get bailed out, they have to sign a paper saying they won't protest against nuclear arms again, which I think is unconstitutional. Since they have not been convicted of a crime, their rights can't be suspended. So if they sign the piece of paper, it wouldn't actually mean anything. That's my opinion. So I would have just signed the paper knowing it has no legal merit and just basically gotten out of jail for free. But they refuse to sign it on principle, and this makes Alex and Elise's dad very mad. They leave in a huff. But then they all come together and have Thanksgiving dinner in prison. Now that I think about it, this episode was not really as good as the others. I don't think so. I think maybe it mattered more then. It mattered more to people who lived through the 60s at the dawn of nuclear weapons, when people didn't quite understand them. And they're very scary. I mean, they could easily have been used. When, And during the time where less time had passed since World War II than passed between World Wars One and Two, you didn't really know that the Soviets and the Americans weren't going to go to war. It wasn't as obvious as it is now that, of course, there's no more Soviet Union. And they can't go to war because they don't exist. Although we could go to war with Russia. But we can't. We cannot even get involved in any sort of war with Russia or China because of nuclear weapons. Alright. Alright, so the best joke, I think, would have been when they have they get out their old protest signs, and there's a McGovern sign, it's McGovern 72, and it says, Elise says, I don't think this is going to help now. Steve goes, it didn't help then, because McGovern lost. McGovern, which one was McGovern? Was that 68 or 72? Humphrey was 68, so McGovern would have been 72. Okay. And there's a running gag where Grandma can't cook. Even Grandpa doesn't like the cooking. So that's funny. And, okay, there's another joke that sort of sums up the series. And it's where Alex says, you know what's wrong with parents today? They still think they can change the world. So, again, it's sort of that reversal. Where, the kids who fought against their parents are now fighting against their kids. And there's another joke that sort of sums up the relationship with Mallory rather than Alex. They talk about how, since it's Elise's parents, they say, we never were able to control our daughter. And Jennifer goes, it's okay. Our parents can't control their daughter either. So those two jokes sort of sum up the series. Alex and Mallory are sort of key. Jennifer's not, as I said before, 11-year-olds cannot act. Jennifer's not really that important. But there's a great scene that comes up later, and it's in a clip show with her. She starts to get older, I guess. I don't know when this episode is, but maybe she's a little older when she does this scene. But she tries to. She has a crush on one of Mallory's boyfriends, and that gets a little funny. Anyway. They left Thanksgiving in prison. That was the episode. This isn't really an insult to the episode. It's definitely worth watching. But I think it's the worst episode yet. As I look back, what was the second episode? Yeah, probably the worst episode yet. And I think that just goes to prove how good the show is. That they've all so far been better than this one, which was pretty good. All right. Thank you. Bye. Oops, I gotta get. Bye.